This might be one of the most disturbing parts of this video, and I'll bet nobody caught it. All right, you guys, this is why cults are so incredibly dangerous. I'm about to break down a video for you that's very, very disturbing. The most disturbing thing about it is on the surface, it looks pretty benign. It looks like nothing. However, I think there's so much that we could learn just from watching this video. So this video is of a woman named Miranda Derrick. Miranda is a dancing TikTok star. She's an influencer, has millions of followers on TikTok. And she is a member of a church called the Shekinah Church. It's run by this guy right here, Robert Shin. And she's the main character of the newest Netflix documentary called Dancing for the Devil. Now, it's a long story to get into about how she got to where she is in this video. I'm going to fill you in along the way, but I'm not going to tell the whole story. If you want all the context, I highly recommend that you go to Netflix, watch the documentary. It's incredibly interesting and disturbing and ultimately informative. And informative is important. That's my whole purpose in this channel. By the way, my name is Chad. I'm committed to exposing cults and cult-like behavior because of the destruction that they cause. So let's dive into the video.
Hey guys, I know I don't normally make this kind of content, but I just wanted to be transparent and a little vulnerable with you.
This is her Instagram page you're seeing. I don't use TikTok on my computer, but this is her Instagram, and normally it's all dance videos pretty much. So she's saying, I don't usually make this kind of content, but I want to be transparent and vulnerable with you. And I'm like, okay, great. Now we're going to get a true response to the documentary, because when I say she's the main character, she's the victim. The dancers, the people who are working for Robert and under his guise, and he's also a preacher. He's also a pastor. There's this heavy religious bent to the cult, but he's also managing them with a company called 7M and taking cuts of their income, and they seem to be living in the same place together. There's a lot of things that hint toward cult, like screaming cult. But it's, that's how she starts the videos. I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to be transparent. So you expect, well, she's going to address the claims of the documentary. She's going to tell her side. But it's a lot weirder than that. And here's the one thing I want you to take away from this video, if nothing else, is that all the time when I talk about cults and when I post things about cults, people say, well, how could people be so dumb to join a cult? And the truth is people aren't dumb that join cults. In fact, you and I are completely vulnerable to the thinking that allows people to join cults. You could join a cult, I could join a cult, if we're not paying attention and clear and thinking for ourselves. And that's what I would love for you to take away. But I want to break this down and show you what I see in this video, because I don't think a lot of people see what I see. And it's very, very disturbing. So let's dive in.
But before this documentary, my husband and I, we felt safe. Now that this documentary is out, we feel like our lives have been put in danger. We have both been followed in our cars. We have received hate mail, death threats. People have been sending us messages to commit suicide. We've been stalked. Someone said that if I see you on the street, I'm going to come and gut you, so you better get security. Someone also said that if I see you walking on the sidewalk, I'm going to come and shove you in the trunk of my car. So these are just some of the messages that I've been receiving behind the scenes.
Okay, so I want to talk about this for a second. And I don't think this is intentional. I want to be very, very clear. I think Miranda is a victim to a very sick person. I also believe that this is a deflection. How is this transparent or vulnerable? I don't really understand. These are comments on her social media. I get if they're DMs, they're behind the scenes and, we wouldn't normally know about them. So maybe that's transparent, but it's not like she's revealing anything that's personal, or it's not like she's revealing anything that is informational about the situation that she's in as it relates to this organization, this church, or Robert. So it seems to me like a deflection. And if she's trying to protect Robert and the church and 7M and the organization, which is a very, very key aspect to cult members, they will do just about anything to protect the leaders and the leadership of the cult. So to me, this is a deflection. It's off topic. It's not what people came for. It is terrible. And it's sad that they're getting these threats. And these are trolls. I don't know if they're in actual danger. I wouldn't be able to evaluate that or not. That would be incredibly scary. However, these are trolls. I don't think they're near as dangerous as one Robert Shin that they're so closely related to.
And I don't understand how my parents and my sister thought that this documentary would help me or would help our relationship in any way.
Okay, so I want to talk about this for a second, and this is a little bit of background. So she's the main character of the documentary because her parents and her sister are the most prominent story. I mean, there's other storylines with other dancers and members and their acquaintances and stuff like that, but their story really is mainline. And the reason being is because her and her sister started out a while ago dancing on TikTok together and seemed like they were really best friends. Her sister says they were really best friends, did everything together, danced together, and then went out to LA together to try to make it. As they got there, Miranda started to make other friends that her sister wasn't as involved in. Ultimately, those friends introduced Miranda to Robert and his church and 7M and the organization, and he had all of these promises. One of the problems is that these people like Miranda are so vulnerable because they have millions of followers on TikTok and they're super talented, but unless they know how to run a business, unless they know how to capitalize or monetize all of that, they're poor. So they've got all these followers, they've got all of this attention, they've got all of this talent, but they don't know how to make a living out of it. And ultimately, Robert promised Miranda and other dancers that he could show them or help them, be their producer, and make a living, capitalize on the following and the talent that they have. So already you have this hierarchy of somebody who's going to save them. That's very, very key in any cult is I've got the answers to save you. But Robert was even double threat because not only did he promise and know how to save them financially and with their popularity and stardom and talent, he also simultaneously was telling them he knew how to save them spiritually so that they could go to heaven. There's so much more details. I can't get into all the details in this video, but there's so many more details. Watch the documentary. But I want you to understand, I think it's so important for you to understand the vulnerable position that Miranda was in when she met Robert. It is a very challenging industry, as much as I know about it. And so many people want to do it and very few actually make a living doing it. So by nature, she's in a very vulnerable position with Robert. She ends up disconnecting with her sister because of this church. Her sister tried to go to the church a couple times and she met Robert a couple times at dinner and something was really off. And then they grew apart to where the point where Miranda really didn't want anything to do with her sister anymore. And that's when they figured that something was quite wrong. So I wanted to give you that background because she's now talking about her family and how she doesn't understand that this is how this is helping her, and gives you a little more color to the context of why she's talking about her family. But yet, remember, she still has not mentioned anything about Robert, 7M, or Shekinah Church.
I don't understand that. And I have been getting together with my family for the past couple years, privately, to work on our relationship, to make things right, to mend what has been broken. And I've been loving it. I've been loving getting together, laughing, just enjoying each other's company. And this documentary has made it very difficult to continue doing that. And honestly, I think that my parents and my sister have focused so much on this documentary that they've forgotten about working on any relationship with me. And that hurts. That hurts me to say. And I'm going to be perfectly honest, it has been hard to post and do my content like nothing ever happened, because that's just not the case. So if things are a little slower and I'm not posting as much, just bear with me. I'm getting through this. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. And
okay, so this is so interesting. So she sees the light at the end of the tunnel. Things are going to get better. We still don't know anything about her situation with the church and Robert. And what's really disturbing is some of the people who have left this organization and this group have talked about some of the abuses that Robert and his wife and his daughter have employed to compromise people in a position to have to stay and to defend them. And there's even some nefarious sexual things, as there usually is. That's another pretty prominent marker for cults, is for some reason they always seem to go sexual, and there's sexual abuse, and there seems to be some of that happening in this group as well. We don't know that for sure with Miranda, but definitely with some of the other dancers that have left the group, but yet she still hasn't said anything about it. And what I notice is that she's repeating herself a bit. She's repeating about, she's repetitive about how it's not helping. Now she's talking circles around how it's difficult to make content. Nobody cares about your content. Yeah, and I'm saying that in the most I want to know about her. I want to know if she's okay, and she's not addressing that. Now we're going to finish out this video. And I want you to pay attention to the audio at the end of this video, because this might be one of the most disturbing parts of this video, and I'll bet nobody caught it. Take a listen.
I'm going to get back to posting and dancing and doing what I just absolutely love. It just brings me so much joy. So I do want to get back to that. And I want to thank everyone who has been very supportive for the kind messages, DMs, emails. They don't go unnoticed. So thank you guys very much. And thank you for taking the time to listen. Love you guys. Bye.
Did you catch that? If you didn't, I'm going to play it again.
And thank you for taking the time to listen. Love you guys. Bye.
Did you catch the sound effect at the end of this video? Now, I don't want to be like, making something out of things that are nothing, but why would there be a production style sound effect at the end of this video? And there's one thing that the documentary talks about, which is Robert Shin's son, I believe, was doing all of the video production for these dancers, and he was really good at it, or is really good at it. And that was one of the benefits that they got of joining this group, is that they had a built-in videographer, filmmaker that could film these things way better than they could. All of the production cost and all of the production energy was then shifted to Robert and his son. And so then they could just focus on their dancing and their talent and interacting with their following. I can't believe that Miranda shot this video right off the cuff and then added a sound effect at the end of the video as it's starting to wrap up. So I gotta believe that she shot this. Were they involved in helping her script it or on the talk points? Were they, how much production went into this? And why in the world did they add sound effects at the end of the video? I know it sounds very conspiratorial, even as I'm saying it, I'm like, okay, come on, really? But I can't explain why that would be in there, other than this video was produced just like all of their other videos, and it continues to be a facade of what's actually going on. Now, here's the thing. I started this talking about how we're all vulnerable. You are vulnerable to these types of beliefs more than you think you are. And in fact, if you don't believe you are, you're more vulnerable to them. The more you think you're immune to cult thinking, the more vulnerable you are to falling into it. And you don't have to believe me, but I'm going to stand by that comment. So I want you to think about Miranda. She's obviously smart. She's beautiful. She's talented. Her husband is also in the group and a dancer and famous on TikTok. And these two people are living what is their reality, what makes most sense to them. And they can't even see what's happening right in front of their face, to the point where they're willing to give responses that aren't actually even responses, that are clearly produced. And my friends, that is the most dangerous thing about cult thinking, is that those who believe it, those who are in it, they don't even know that they're in a cult. So I'm going to be following this story more. I'm going to be talking more about Miranda and Shekinah and Robert. And I just don't think that this is the last we're going to see in it. If there's anything I can glean about cult behavior, cult thinking, and why people join when it's so destructive, I'll shoot a video on it and we'll talk about it. Peace.